As businesses in the greater world start to reopen after coronavirus shutdowns, people have to start going back to work. The idea is that right now, for safety reasons, they'll only be working fewer hours or fewer days potentially, but things will go back to normal. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. But what if it didn't? We've had this idea since the Industrial Revolution of 8 hours for work, 8 hours for recreation, and 8 hours for rest. But with technology getting better, reducing the workload, and our work itself being less laborious, do we still need a 40-hour work week? Henry Ford reduced the work week from 6 days to 5. Could we do that again? That's today on the Wall Street Team. Alright, I was inspired by this Atlantic article, and it lays out a pretty arguable case for permanently reducing the number of workdays and hours. However, the first thing that comes to mind is that, well, while people might be better off, businesses and the economy would be worse off. But that's not necessarily true. In Glasgow, when the company Pursuit Marketing shortened to a 4-day workweek, productivity reportedly went up 40% and profits increased as well. Microsoft's offices in Japan also saw a 40% increase in productivity when it did the same thing. Here's Andrew Barnes and his experience, which he described in a TED Talk, about moving to a 4-day workweek in the company he founded.
Engagement scores went up between 30 and 40%, to the highest level the researchers had ever seen in New Zealand. Stress levels dropped 15%. But the one that really got us was people said we're better able to handle our workload working 4 days, not 5.
In a BBC interview with a fashion company called Normally, workers there work a 4-day workweek. They make up for the lost day by being more efficient in the first 4 days.
And it's all because we managed to work so efficiently that we can be as profitable in the 4 days as we could be in 5.
That means they aren't cramming 5 days of stress into 4 days of stress. The stress actually reduces.
Are you squeezing 5 days amount of stress into 4 days? Like, does everything actually push out? For whatever reason, we've managed to, that just doesn't happen here. So occasionally there is a late one, but I think I can probably count 2 or 3 in the 2.5 years that I've been here.
It can also help the company attract more talent with an elusive offer such as a 4-day workweek, and those that get hired are more likely to stay and are more loyal workers. You see, that extra day off is a gift, and the workers realize they need to earn it, so they're going to actually change their behavior for the better so that they can continue to get that day off. All in all, it means a better work-life balance, which means workers are more efficient and less stressed. Workers that have a day off are more incentivized to work harder during the days which they actually do have work. More fulfilled workers are more likely to focus on their job instead of finding ways to distract themselves from the monotonous work week. Studies find that British workers are only productive for 2.5 hours during the whole 8-hour workday. That's only 1.5 for Canadians. The rest of the time is spent trying to distract themselves from the monotonous work week, looking at their Facebook or their Twitter or other things that they could be doing instead of working. You might be thinking, well, if I'm not working Friday, then those 8 hours I need to spread among the other 4 days. So I'm working 2 hours more every day. But not necessarily. You only need to be productive for 45 more minutes to get the same output as you were before, 18 minutes for Canadians. Mind you, that's not 45 more minutes every day. You don't need to work 45 more minutes every day. You just need to be productive in that 8-hour day for 45 more minutes. That doesn't seem so hard to ask for. For the company, if they need to, they can still operate on a 5-day schedule by having some people work Sundays and other people filling in for the days that those initial people missed. But even if they're still working on a 4-day work week, even if the company sticks with the 4-day work week, there are still some slight benefits, I'll admit, to that. There are lower operating costs for both businesses and people. A shorter work week doesn't work for everyone, however.
It didn't quite work for your business, it didn't quite work for your clients.
However, maybe we're missing the bigger picture. Some argue it's more about worker well-being and that cutting the work week is just one way to get to a goal that can be achieved through less drastic means.
Cutting our working hours isn't going to be a simple solution because it's about looking at the employee well-being as a whole. So how are we looking after our employees? Are we also offering lifestyle benefits? Are we harnessing modern technology to be able to offer greater flexibility as well as making sure that people still deliver? Because that's what's going to drive corporate profits and therefore economic growth more broadly.
We know that poor work-life balance can lead to poor mental health in the workplace, and we know that poor mental health in the workplace is costing the UK economy up to £100 billion a year.
This could be a lesson about how worker well-being and the work-life balance should be prioritized more, and the benefits that both businesses and their workers can get from that. So in review, some businesses will benefit from a shorter work week, but others might not as much, or at all. It's really a case-by-case basis, but I know this is kind of unsatisfying, so I'm just going to go ahead and say that some businesses should be implementing a shorter work week, and we should really be researching the effects and seeing which companies should be doing so. Anyways, that finishes today's video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. And while you're down there, you can check out the sources and links that I used in the description below, as always. Special thanks to Ted and the BBC, from whom I got those videos and clips from. Please don't copyright me. But anyway, that finishes today's episode. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.